All right, hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets special live edition here in the Freedom Throne. I just wanted to give everybody an update on Virginia, let them know what's going on and what has happened this week. As you know, today they are hearing the enhanced assault weapon ban bill in the committee. We'll talk about what happened on Monday's bills that I told you that were going to be in committee, and as well as where you can go in Virginia to go see Michael Bloomberg and let him know he's not wanted there. So this will be quick, real quick, as I'm about to head out with the wife. Also, I just put out a video about Rhode Island. They're under attack, so please watch that and forward that as well. So let's get into the update here as far as the bills, and then we'll tell you about Mr. Bloomberg and where you can go say hi to him. So several bills, like I did in the video for Monday, were heard this week, and we'll go through each one here. So SB 13 would prohibit firearms and other weapons in the Capitol Square buildings and grounds. That was specifically looking to ban the VCDL event, basically. There's no other need to do that. And that was carried over until next year. So it's kind of dead for now, but it's carried over. It will be reintroduced next year. So keep an eye on that if you live in Virginia, because it is not dead. They're just hoping you forget about it. SB 14 would make trigger activators illegal and a Class 6 felony. And that passed on the party lines 9-5. If you really want to see who voted yay or nay, the VCDL has it up on their website. But the trigger activators has made it out of committee and will now go to the floor of the Senate for a full vote. SB 15 would prohibit firearms and other weapons in buildings that are either owned or leased by the Commonwealth. That was carried over till next year as well. Dead for this year. However, don't forget about it, because they're going to sneak it up on you next January. So that was carried over. SB 64 would prohibit one or more persons from intimidating others by marching, parading, or drilling with a firearm. It's the snowflake ban, and that passed on party lines 9-6. So that, again, is looking to get rid of anything to do with marching and showing you stand for the second. It's okay to march if you're Antifa. It's okay to march if you're Black Lives Matter. It's okay to march for anything else. But if you're marching for the second and you have a firearm and one snowflake can be intimidated, that's now, looks like it's going to pass to be illegal. So it passed the Senate committee, now goes to the Senate floor for a vote. SB 67 would require a person to report a lost or stolen firearm within 24 hours of it being lost or stolen. The problem with that bill was, excuse the hand shaking, I'm holding this with my hand here, it's my cell phone. That is an issue because it doesn't say in there when that 24 hours starts. Is it when it was actually stolen? And then say the owner finds out about it 2 months later? Well, then that owner is technically in violation of this. So that was not heard by the committee. Okay, so as of yet, it has not been heard. It was tabled. SB 71 would treat daycares and religious preschools as a K-12 school for the purpose of possessing firearms or other weapons, basically creating more gun-free zones because they are such a great thing. And that passed 9-6 on party lines, will be heard by the full Senate for a vote. SB 353 would require outdoor shooting ranges to be at least 500 yards away from any property zoned for residential use, unless it meets certain requirements by the Department of Energy, the Office of Health, Safety, and Security. And the fines on that were exorbitant. They were massive fines. That's been carried over till next year, not dead yet. SB 436, it's the Virginia Voluntary Do Not Sell list. This would allow people to put themselves on a Please Take My Second Amendment Away From Me list. Allegedly, there was ways to have your name taken off of it in the future. The problem with this was you could put anybody's name on there, basically, and if you were caught doing that erroneously, it was only a misdemeanor, while the person who was violated lost their Second Amendment. And we're not told about it until they actually go to buy a gun, and they say, oh, by the way, you can't buy it, you're on this list. So that passed on a party line vote, 8-5. Will be heard by the full Senate for a vote. Keeps going, guys. SB 490 would prohibit a person who has been convicted of stalking, sexual battery, or assault and battery of a family or household member from purchasing, possessing, or transporting a firearm. Has provisions for right restoration, and that was carried over till next year. That bill, it was there's a lot of gray area in there. So a battery, no matter how slight. So if you in a relationship, dating relationship, and you spit on their foot because you're pissed off, they could use that to strip you of your Second Amendment rights if you're convicted of that. So that's, I mean, yeah. SB 543 would require background checks for private sales at gun shows using the Virginia State Police to do the background check. VSP doesn't have the ability. They're not set up for it. This basically looks to get rid of the gun shows and get rid of the person-to-person private sales. That was not heard yet by the committee. If they're scheduled again, you will find that here on this channel. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell everybody at the gun shows, tell everybody at the gun sellers and all your gun shops to join this channel. SB 581. So if somebody recklessly left a loaded or unsecured firearm in such a manner as to endanger life or limb, meaning that somebody under 18 could potentially have gained access to it from the ages of 14 to 18, it would be a felony. This bill was killed on a bipartisan vote, which means some of the Democrats said, hell no, this isn't going. So it failed 7-8, which is good. It is dead. That didn't make it out of committee. So that is a good thing. SB 684 would take away a person's gun rights, even if appeals courts at the time involuntary admission to an inpatient facility. So this is like if you have to go to a mental health facility because you're having some type of issue and you get it dealt with. Well, they were looking to just strip you of your rights forever, you know. And that passed 13 to none. 13 to none. So that is something that you need to pay attention to that one. Yes, people who have mental health issues, if it's a serious issue, shouldn't be having firearms until it's, you know, the stuff's worked out. Yeah. But something one time it gets, you know, you get jammed up for one time, you seek help one time, should it affect you forever? I don't know. SB 985 provides that in any litigation in which the constitutionality of the law or of the Commonwealth is at issue, and a court finds that law is unconstitutional, the Commonwealth shall reimburse the aggrieved party for the attorney fees and costs. This would basically be like if you're red flagged and then that is found to be unconstitutional, you know, they take your guns and all that stuff, you would get your court costs and attorney fees paid for. Well, that was killed by a bipartisan vote 12-3. That goes to show you that they're afraid of these bills that they're passing, hoping to get signed into law. They're afraid they're actually going to be found unconstitutional and they don't want to have to pay. That's what that comes down to. So that was what happened on Monday. Tuesday, there were hearings in the House. So Tuesday, there were a couple bills heard. We'll go over those real quick. HB 78, sorry for my hand shaking, guys. HB 78 would take away a person's firearm rights for a misdemeanor conviction of a domestic violence. Same thing I mentioned earlier, like spit on somebody's foot, you lose your, and you're convicted for it, you lose your rights forever. And that was rolled into HB 1288, so that's not dead. That was heard later, and we'll talk about that in a second. HB 459, take away a person's right to purchase, possess, or transport a firearm if they're guilty of certain misdemeanor assault and battery convictions. Assault and battery is an unwanted touching. You slap somebody's hand, it's an unwanted touching. If you're found guilty of that, this would take away your firearms. They call it a privilege now down there, even though it's a right. It would take away your rights forever, based off of slapping someone's hand, something that easy. That also was rolled into 1288. So they're making this 1288 a super bill now. And we'll talk about that again in a second. HB 900, take away a person's right to purchase, possess, or transport a firearm if they're guilty of certain misdemeanor assault and batteries. See what they're doing? They're trying this a lot. This was also rolled into 1288. So now let's talk about 1288. This would do all of the things I just mentioned. It was modified to cover misdemeanor stalking, sexual battery, and hate crimes. It would allow for the restoration of a person's rights after 5 years if the person petitions the court and the judge of the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth attorney agree. So if you slap someone's hand, you're found guilty, you lose your constitutionally guaranteed right to the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms for 5 years, and then you would have to beg and plead to get your rights back. That sounds not cool. It's not the way it's supposed to be. That is just destroying due process, basically. And that passed on a partisan vote, 5-3. So that will be going to the full floor of the House for a vote. HB 142 is only a couple more. I told you this would be quick. I apologize, but I think this is very important. HB 142 was changed to modify the online training option for the carry permits, and that was killed 5-3, so that's not going to happen. HB 264 would remove the online training option, and that passed 5-3, so that would go for a full floor vote. HB 224 was constitutional carry. This is one of the good ones I talked about. Well, that was killed 6-2. There was no way that Northam and his cronies were going to let that happen, so that's dead 6-2. Let's see, HB 600. The family daycares would have to have, if you had a family daycare, you'd have to unload and lock up your guns separately because you couldn't protect those people. That passed 6-2. 1409 would prohibit the executive branch and the General Assembly, this is a good one, from considering the Second Amendment sanctuary status of any locality within the Commonwealth of Virginia in making the appropriation decisions. So they couldn't use the fact that town X or county Y said we're a Second Amendment sanctuary when it comes to budgets and grants and stuff like that, because you know they do that stuff. But it was killed. You know, it can't have any of that, you know, accountability stuff. Killed 5-3. Two more, and then we'll talk about Bloomy. 1499 in the House. HB 1499 would create a gun violence intervention and prevention fund, which they would basically take your tax money and use it against you to find ways to strip you of your rights. That passed, of course, 8-0, so they definitely want that to happen. HB 1689 would protect the people's right to keep and bear arms under Article 1, Section 13 of the Virginia Constitution by invalidating any gun laws that infringe on the rights of those people. And, of course, they killed that 8-0. We cannot allow the Constitution to prevail in Virginia. So that is what is going on, or what happened this week. Tells you what's going to progress to a vote on each chamber, and then it'll go to the other chamber and do the same process. And then if it's agreed upon, which it will, it'll go to the governor, who's a joke. Now, today, I think it was 8 o'clock this morning, they were hearing HB 961. That is the assault weapons ban, the suppressor ban, the trigger activator ban, and the 10-round, anything more than 10-round magazines were going to be banned. That is being debated now. When I hear something, I will have it here, so stay tuned. And then, if you are in or near Arlington, Virginia, you're going to want to hear this one. Michael Bloomberg himself, the anti-gun king, George Soros's buddy, the man, the myth, the clown, the coward, will be in Arlington, Virginia on Sunday, this weekend, February 9th, from 6:30 p.m. till 8 o'clock p.m. at the following address: 1301 South Joyce Street, between DSW, I think that's a shoe store, and Planet Fitness in Arlington. All right? He will be there. And if I were you and you are pro 2A, I would get everybody and their mother and your neighbors and show up and let this ass clown know what you think, and we will stop him, okay? Again, Sunday, February 9th, 6:30 to 8:30, Michael Bloomberg will be in Arlington, Virginia in the flesh at 1301 South Joy Street between DSW and Planet Fitness in Arlington, Virginia. So do the state a solid if you're in the area and show up, okay? It's a Sunday. If you're a football fan, there's no more football going on. I don't know what else you would do on a Sunday night other than stand up for the second. So that's a quick update on Virginia. I see the chat's going crazy, but I'm on my phone and it's that big, so I will check it later when it finally uploads to the YouTube. So please do me a favor, guys and gals, share this, please. The only way this stuff gets out is if the viewers take that couple seconds of their life and hit that share button. And we need this stuff to get out now more than ever. So please do that. Hit that thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is where you're going to find this stuff. Nowhere else. Nobody's dedicated their channel to the full Second Amendment news. You know, there's a couple other guys who dabble in it, but this channel is full-time, full tilt 2A. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon, and until we see each other on the next one, it'll probably be probably an hour from now. But I'll see you then, guys. Take care. Have a fantastic day.